There is a particular kind of afternoon that only happens on Sundays. The light comes in at a different angle. The sounds outside are slightly muted. Fewer cars, fewer voices. Someone might be mowing a lawn somewhere down the street, and that sound, for some reason, makes the day feel even more suspended than it already is. And you're sitting somewhere in your home, not really doing anything, and there's this feeling that settles over you. You can't quite name it. Not sadness exactly, not boredom, something in between. Something that feels like it's been following you around all day, waiting for you to sit down long enough to notice it. I think most people know exactly what I'm talking about, and I think almost nobody talks about it. Researchers call it the Sunday blue, and it's documented consistently that mood data across the week shows a reliable dip that arrives Sunday afternoon, not Monday morning, the way you might be expecting. The dread, it turns out, comes early, before the week has even started, before there's anything concrete to dread. And that's the part I find interesting. Because if it were simply about work, about not wanting the weekend to end, you would expect the feeling to peak Sunday night or Monday morning when the alarm goes off. But it doesn't. It arrives in the afternoon while the day is technically still yours, while there's still time, and yet something in you has already started to close. But I don't think it's just about work. I don't think it's simply the shadow of the week ahead falling across the day. I think it's something older than that. Something that has more to do with time itself and what happens when we're not given a day that's supposed to feel open and it doesn't quite feel the way we thought it would. Sunday has always carried a kind of weight, but the nature of that weight has shifted. For most of human history, Sunday was structured from the outside. Religious observance shaped the morning. Family gathered in the afternoon. There were rhythms, meals at certain hours, activities that were expected, a texture to the day that came preloaded. You didn't have to decide what to do with it. The day had a shape, and even if you didn't particularly want that shape, it held you. It gave the hours somewhere to go. That structure has loosened considerably for a lot of people. Not all at once and not uniformly, but gradually, over decades. Sunday has been handed back to the individual. It is now officially yours. A blank day, free time. And free time sounds like a gift until you're inside it. Because what nobody tells you about unstructured time is that it asks you to know what you want, to choose, to be the author of your own hours in a way that weekdays never require. Weekdays have a script and you follow it. But Sunday hands you a blank page and says, here. And a lot of us stare at that page and feel underneath everything a low hum we can't quite explain. You had plans, vaguely, or you told yourself you did. Maybe you'd do something restful. Maybe you'd finally do something that you'd been putting off. Maybe you'd call someone you've been meaning to call for weeks, maybe months. And then the morning passed in a way that mornings do, slowly and then suddenly, and the afternoon arrived and somehow none of it happened. And now it's that particular hour, 4, maybe 5 o'clock, where the light is going amber and long, and the day feels like it's already closing before you figured out what to do with it. That feeling, that specific quiet deflation, that's the thing I want to talk about. There's a concept in psychology called anticipatory processing, the way the mind begins rehearsing what's coming before it arrives. It's a survival mechanism in its origin. The brain tries to prepare you for what's ahead by running through it in advance, mapping the terrain, identifying the demands. And Sunday is almost purpose-built for it. Somewhere around midday or early afternoon, the week ahead begins to take shape in your thoughts. Not always consciously. It's more like a background process running underneath whatever you're doing. The meetings, the emails you haven't answered, the task you told yourself you'd finish last week and didn't, the thing you're slightly dreading that you've been not thinking about successfully for 2 days. It surfaces on Sunday, and that background hum, that low, persistent rehearsal of what's coming, makes it genuinely hard to land in the day you're actually in. You are physically on Sunday. You might be sitting in your garden or on your sofa or at a cafe with a coffee going cold beside you. But part of you has already left. Part of you is already in Monday, already in the week, already carrying what the week will ask of you. And the day you're in starts to feel like a waiting room. I have a theory that Sunday reveals things. During the week, there's enough noise, enough task and motion and obligation to keep certain feelings at a manageable distance. Not suppressed exactly, just occupied. The mind is busy enough that the quieter signals don't quite get through. But Sunday loosens all of that. The noise drops, the obligations pause, and in that pause, whatever you've been carrying has room to surface. Not dramatically, not as a crisis, just present. Sitting with you in the afternoon light, the way a cat settles next to you without asking permission. Sometimes what surfaces is loneliness, the particular kind that isn't about being alone. You might be in a house full of people, but about a feeling of distance. Distance from others, yourself, from the version of your life you thought you'd be living by now. Sometimes it's a low dissatisfaction with something you haven't been able to name. A sense that things are fine objectively, and yet something isn't quite right, and you can't locate it precisely enough to do anything about it. And sometimes it's simpler than either of those. Sometimes it's just the particular ache of time passing, of being aware in a way that the business of the week doesn't allow, that the weeks are moving, that the year is coming, that you are moving through your life at a pace that doesn't slow down just because you'd like it to. Sunday holds up a mirror, and the reflection isn't always comfortable, but it's usually honest. I think about the people who genuinely love Sundays, and they exist. I'm not dismissing them. For some people, Sunday is the best day. Slow mornings, no obligations, the particular pleasure of time that belongs entirely to you. And I wonder if what separates those people from the rest of us isn't temperament exactly, because what Sunday fundamentally requires is the ability to be with yourself without an agenda, without producing anything, without moving toward anything, just present in the hours without needing them to become something. And that's harder than it sounds. Not because you're broken, but because almost everything in modern life trains us in the opposite direction. We are rewarded constantly for output, for movement, for visible progress. The entire architecture of our days, notifications, metrics, The gentle pressure of social comparison is designed to keep us oriented toward doing, toward becoming, toward the next thing. Sunday asks you to stop, and stopping for a lot of people doesn't feel like rest. It feels like falling behind. But here's what I keep coming back to. That feeling, the one that settles over you on a Sunday afternoon, isn't a malfunction. It isn't evidence that something is wrong with you or with your life. I think it's actually a sign that something in you is still paying attention, that you haven't gone so numb to the passage of time that it moves through you without leaving a mark, that you still care somewhere underneath everything about what your days feel like, about whether they mean something, about the distance between the life you're living and the life you'd like to be living. That gap is uncomfortable, but it's also information. The discomfort of a Sunday afternoon might be one of the few moments in the week when you're genuinely, involuntarily present, not distracted, not performing, not optimizing anything or moving toward anything. Just sitting with your life in the light that comes in at that particular angle, noticing how it feels. Most of us spend a lot of energy avoiding exactly that. And maybe Sunday, with all its weight and its amber light and its strange specific melancholy, is just a week's way of making sure you don't avoid it entirely, or making sure you feel your life at least once before the next one starts. That seems worth something to me. This is Quiet Echoes. If you're new here, welcome. Stay as long as you like. I'll see you in the next one.